I'm trying to move forward here. This door hinge was gone. I got a little repair kit here. It's got all the pins for the hinges. Basically this goes on here like that. The spring is supposed to go here in the middle. I don't know how I'm going to do that. And then it's got a little pin that goes right here. That gets pounded into there. It looks like it might be pretty tight, but I can get that pin in. It's got little teeth on it. I think I'll just WD-40 that real good and pound it in. And then I don't know how I'll get that spring in there. But I don't think that I can I don't think I can put this in here like this and force that spring in and then get the pin in. I think that's going to be my best bet right there. Pound that pin in and then try to force a 3-inch spring into an inch space. It might be fun. We'll see. I guess the first thing though is to get it in. Just going to be kind of tough to get this all sanded and painted. I'll just have to do the best I can. Got quite a bit of bound on the inside here. I need to grind that down. I can reach in there with my little air sander and get that. Probably get it pretty clean down here. Of course, you know, the best way to do it would be to take the door off. I'm gonna just try to do the best I can without taking the door off. See what kind of luck I have. Well, this little pin doesn't even want to start. I tapped it with a hammer. It's not going. I'm going to take a micrometer and measure it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to turn this. I've got a lathe at the house. I don't want to go back and do that, but I'm going to measure this and see how much I got, and I'll probably just grind it off here, or probably chuck this up in a drill or something somehow to keep it round. I could drill this out, but it's not even trying to start. It's just not even close. I'd say 20 thousandths, and there's no way I could do that like this, even with a press. If I had the hinge out, I don't know if I could get it fixed. So I'll measure it first and see how much I got to take it down, and then we'll go from there. Well, I uncovered another problem. This you can see this frame is cracked, or the body is cracked from about here to up here somewhere. I cleaned it off good with a wire brush. That's why they took this out. I trimmed this down a little and started putting it in, and that's when I discovered this. So I don't know if it was just twisted or rusted. I don't think it would rust in that corner, but I'm gonna have to take my my welder. See if I can get this open a little further. Yeah, that's the maximum right there. And try to weld this back up. I guess I can put a little clamp right here, kind of squeeze it shut a little bit because it's been bent out just a tad, and I'll just try to put a weld in there, and then hopefully I can grind it off and make it look pretty good. We'll see, but I'm gonna have to weld that crack up. Yep, it's not one thing, it's another. Well, that's welded pretty good. I only burned a couple little holes in it, but I can move the door now, and it's not flexing that part at all. It's bending a little bit, but not really that bad. So that fixed the busted hinge. Now I can try to drive this pin. I trimmed it a little with a sanding tool. Looks like it's going in pretty good. If I can just pound it on down in there until I can get up to this place where it's past the splines, I think I'll be pretty good. I may take a pair of vise grips or something and try to press that in, but I need to put a hammer or something under the bottom of it, so when I hit it here on top, I'm not just putting a lot of force into the door. And so that's my next trick, is try to get that pin drove in there all the way. Well, that worked out pretty good. It's all the way down in there and fairly flush. And now all I gotta do is try to figure out how to get this giant spring into that little tiny spot. I don't know, maybe this is get a little better. Boy, it's not really. I'm hitting something somewhere. Oh, my light's up here on top. I thought looks like it's looks like that's the place where it's open the maximum. I've done this before. Try to get a little spring in there. Of course, it would be better if it was off, and about all I can do is try to get me some pry bars in there and get it squished in. I'll see if I can get it in, and then I'll bring it back and tell you how I did it. Well, I tried prying on it, and there ain't no way. So what I did is put it in a vise here and squish it good. And now I'm going to use some heavy tie wire and tie it in a couple places, and I should be able to get the spring in, and then I can cut the wire, and that should work. We'll see. Well, here it is. I squished it pretty good. but both of these clips want to go to the low spot. So I kind of tied them together here. It's a mess, but it should be quite a bit smaller. I'll just see if it's going to even be close here. Let's see what we got. Get a light in here. Oh boy. Still got can't really tell here, but it looks like I got quite a ways to go. I think these wires I got in here are just too big and they're in the way, so I'll have to modify that and get it a little smaller. Maybe I can use some smaller wire, like welding wire. Maybe that'll work. Well, that's better, but I'm still a long ways from where I need to be. A lot of the spring, I've only got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coils compressed here. I think I need to put a wire around the whole spring and try it again. It's still bending, but I'm closer here, but I'm a long ways away from being small enough to get in there. We'll try a loop through it, through the whole spring. Maybe that'll hold it. I went round and round with this. That's about the best I could get, was using wire ties. The wire was too stiff, so I've got to move that quite a bit, but I'm hoping I can get a pry bar in here. I've only got about 1/2 inch that I need to move that. The problem is that when you put a tie on the thing, it wants to follow the curve around. They all go to one spot. And when you put it in the vise, you can't put them around the full thing because you clamp your tie. So I'm going to try to put a big long screwdriver right down through here and just try to pry it in. But it's a lot of work. Well, we'll see what that happens. At least it's pretty easy to put the wire ties in, even if something breaks now. Well, there I got it. I wound up putting a whole bunch of wire ties on it, squishing it a little at a time, and then I used a great big screwdriver to pry it back, and then I took a hammer and hit it, and I made it go over that. Now I gotta cut those wire ties and get them out of there, and hopefully that spring will go down flat. Well, that all looks pretty good. I didn't get a couple of them wire ties out. I'll work on that a little later, but it's all working and turning and doing its thing. You can still see the hinge is still pulling on the body some. but basically this is all solid, and I'll take my little air tool and get in here and clean that up, and probably take the rotary tool and try to clean this edge up. I'll try to grind off this outside of the weld here. I may just make it look nice, leave it alone. We'll see how much trouble it is. Well, after I clean up my hinges and stuff, springs there, come back here and try to build this door up. I still don't really know what's wrong with it. But I had problems with the door opening before. This fender was too thick, but I cleaned that up and ground it all down. So I just put a little thin coat on it here. I'll let that dry and sand it off and see what I got to do to get that flush all the way across here. Just wait and see. Well, I sort of hit a snag here. Door, once I welded that bent door thing in there, then the doors, when I close it, it stays where it's supposed to be and not flexing. So what's happening is I got a big gap down here at the bottom, not much of one up at the top, and this door is you know, 1/4 of an inch high, and of course my gap is tight at the bottom and big at the top, so that door has got to come down. This end's got to come down, which will close up that gap, close this gap, open that one. But the only way to adjust the door is through this bottom hinge here, and can't get to the bolts through the crack. I thought they were come in from this side, which would make sense, but they don't. They got nuts coming from, or bolts coming from the outside to the inside of the car. I don't know if you can see there, but that's just where they screw in. I took a big bar and a hammer and pounded on this a little. It's not moving, it's of course rusted. And what was happening, I think, was that this broken part here was letting it go forward, and when I welded it up, it won't go forward anymore. And it's not in the top hinge. The problem's the same here too. It's got bolts coming from the outside. So that means to get to these hinge bolts and adjust the door, it means that I'm going to have to pull that fender. I thought about taking a few bolts loose and see if I could get it open far enough to get a flex socket in here and loosen those bolts. But as I start pounding on it, you can see all kinds of dirt and rust and stuff coming out of it. Yeah, and when I was underneath looking at it, I got a pretty big dent right in here, and the fender basically should come off and get straightened up. And I knew I had to do it to put the seals in, but I got a whole bunch of crap here on top of it. I might be able to get it loose enough to loosen all these top fender bolts and the sides. And what I don't know is if this headlight bucket, all this stuff in here, can come off with the fender or not. At the very least, I'm going to have to clear all this stuff off the hood, find another place for it. I also was trying to take out my drawer striker, and it's not really doing much. I used a bunch of impacts there on it, so I can't really move forward with this door or a fender or anything else until I get this back straight. I did modify the gap in here quite a bit. I put some Bondo in it, closed the gap up. But it may be when I lower this fender, I'll have to redo that. I mean, lower the door. I mean, I know I should pull that fender off of there. I guess that's what I'll do. I'll just clean up all my mess on this side, put my tools away, and take this fender off. That's not going to get much more done until I do that, so that's what I'll do. By the way, I got a whole box of these things for like 25 bucks, all kinds of sanding discs. They're 2 inches, and polishing discs and little flapper discs. So that works really good on my little air tool. I'm going to try some different Bondo I got again from USC. It's the same brand. It's light Bondo versus this stuff here, Featherite. This was way too hard to sand. I'm hoping this will be a little better. And there's my plastic honey I use to make stuff thin. Anyway, let me get all junk off of my hood here and see if I can get this fender off. Well, I got it all loose. The bottom one gave me fits down here. I think it was stripped. I've got all this loose up here. I've got 2 more bolts in it. I know from putting them in, I've got one in the top of the valence and one in the bottom of the valence. I never did cut this, but I think that's the only thing that's left holding me in. So I'll crawl up under there and take them out, and fender should come off. Looks like it has a spacer here. These were really rusty. I had a lot of trouble getting them out. I got a set of brand new bolts, and these little 1/2-inch ones here, I broke one off. I think it was that one, but I'm pretty sure that this is it for the fender. It's all loose, looks loose. So I think I got 2 more bolts there and I can get this thing off of here. Well, there's Mr. Fender off. All that white stuff is where the brass was. It don't look too bad for right now. But I'll go ahead and clean it up good and finish welding any places I got there on the lip, sort it out, and put in my splash shields up there in front and press on with this. I'm gonna see what our fender looks like now. Well, here it is. A lot of dirt in it. These are the splash shields that I got, new ones. I like to put a piece of radiator. No, it's just a bent over piece. Anyway, I'll blow all the dirt out of this, clean it up, but it looks like I can get to my hinges real easy here now, and finally get this door adjusted. And while I'm under here, I can go ahead and clean up some of this stuff and paint it black at least. I'm probably not gonna replace any of this. This would be the time to do it if I was gonna put bushings or anything in it. But it all looks pretty good here. This is where I was protecting my fender from the Bondo. So it snapped off pretty easily, pretty cleanly. This whole thing here, I'm pretty sure is supposed to be dead flat. And looks like they've had some kind of sealer in there, but I'll go ahead and do whatever body work I need to do to this. Looks like it's kind of bent too. And that looks like it's been caved back in a little bit. A lot of dirt and stuff in here. It's a good thing I did take it off. Now I know how much trouble it is. I won't worry too much about the other one. Looks like that was a piece of tape to keep water out of the hinges. But this would be the time to clean all this up and paint it red. I would have never been able to get enough paint in there to fix this. And I can clean up this big old ugly door edge right here. But anyway, I'll just kind of blow this off, and then I'll go ahead and see if I can get this door straight. Really wasn't too bad, about an hour's work, and it'll look a lot better. I just won't be able to drive it, but I haven't been driving it anyway. I can still move it back and forth, and that's all I need. I did a little adjustment to it. The bolts were hard to get loose, but I did get them, and I see a straight door here, and I thought I had it pretty level, but when I tightened it up, it raised again. It's hitting the striker inside. You can see it's moving up quite a bit when it hits that striker, but it's just sitting on its hinges right now. It looks like I've got about 1/8 of an inch to go. I'm gonna loosen them up again and see if I can't drop that door down some more. Well, that looks pretty good. had to whack the hinges a couple times, but before the hinge raises it up, it's like maybe a 1/16 of an inch. That's almost dead flat. And here in the middle of it, that's pretty straight too. So, and the door's tied again. So I'm pretty pleased with that. That edge might be just a little high, because I see right there at the 10-inch mark that I've got a little gap, so probably that edge needs to come down a little. So I think that's good enough as far as straight up and down, but you can still see that it raises when I push the door in. I've banged around on this quite a bit. It moves pretty easily. You would think that I could just knock it up, but for some reason it ain't going any further. And I boogered them screws up a little bit trying to get them out. They're not turning. I can't find my impact driver. I've got a hand one, but I have an electric one somewhere around here. I can't find it, but I got a feeling that this whole thing is probably bent, and I know that this latch here, you can see it's moving around quite a bit. So it's worn out, and there's really not much adjustment in this at all. Once you put it in, it just stays there. And I think what it's doing is hitting right here on the edge of this gear and starting to push it up. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try to knock this up. I probably ought to not mess with it. This whole thing in here is kind of loose. I probably ought to just get another one. I'll look on eBay and see what I can find, and just get a new lock or a grabber thing, and I'll have to do something about that striker too. But I've got the door straight. If I slam it, well, how about that? It's straight. And my gap's pretty good still. Don't look like I changed that at all. So it's a lot of work for 1/16 of an inch. But I did find some problems in there, and I'll have to fix them. Yeah, it looks better than it did. And I do have this now to clean up, and I think I'll go ahead and wire brush all this stuff here, throw some primer on it, and figure out how to put staples in this, clean up all this stuff, and I'll probably use my red paint and just just paint all the inside of this door and everything. I shouldn't be getting a lot of dirt back in there now, and I can move forward on working on this fender lip. It's supposed to be straight, I'm sure, and I put a square across it here. I got a big low spot there. Yeah, that high spot right there. So this needs a little tender love and care. Get it beat out and flat. I don't know how much difference the bolt holes make, but definitely it's low right there, so I need to do a little bit to that, and like I said, clean up all this inside and get ready to put that fender back on. Haven't even really looked at the fender yet, but I think this is enough content for one day. So please like and subscribe and hit the notification button, and you'll see what I do with this inside and what I finally wind up doing with this door and stuff to get it to fit.